Jenny, I just want to move it on to a last thought that we can have. Can I move it on to this last thought in our last section, if I can call it that, which is basically, if the demise of religion continues, the decline in belief carries on, what are the consequences for the people who are children now and for our society in, 40 years' time?
Yes, I think they're very serious indeed, because yes, I do. And I think that we've witnessed it. I mean, I live in a part of London where I came back from a retreat on the island of Iona to find headlines the Monday morning of buildings in flame. I thought, oh, that's Syria, and I put it to one side. Then I discovered it was on 3 sides of where I live, riots and a burning of buildings in Enfield, Wood Green and Tottenham. And I think that what this manifested was a lack of the boundaries being given to kids from a very early age to provide a structure and a way for them to formulate their sense of themselves. And I believe that at least the religious underpinning of an education will affirm you as a child. It will provide boundaries with which you can defend yourself against authority, against the state, against bad parents, and it will also protect you from, for example, rampant sexuality, which is being taught in schools. Half of knife crime in a survey in America, half of knife crime.
Which schools
in a
hang on, can I wind you back to...
Let me just finish this,
which schools teaching rampant sexuality?
There's a tie-up between knife crime and protecting your right to your woman. There is a sexual tie-up between violence and what we're seeing on our streets. The research shows it in America. And so what I'm saying is, I emerged from a faith, from an Anglican school without a faith. Nonetheless, what I remembered for the rest of my life is my headmistress, an authority figure, kneeling in prayer every morning to a higher authority. I still carry that image within me today.
It's a good feeling, is it?
Certainly, yes, because she wasn't the sort of Oberführer, if you like. She wasn't, the oppressive authority figure. There was something above her to which she was accountable and to which I also had access.
Well, who wants to...
There's a lot of claims there, and I don't think that they're really...
Stephen, you're on this, aren't you? I saw you move forward in your seat.
Yes. It's often said, isn't it, that without religion we're all going to go to hell in a handbasket. If not now, then next week or next year or next... whatever it is. It's always just ahead, because clearly we haven't gone yet, but it's coming, isn't it? Is there any evidence to support that view? I can't see that there is very much good evidence.
But I've just given
Let's finish. What we have is we have often 2 things happening at the same time. So you find religious belief declining, and then criminality goes up, and then people go, oh, look, one is the cause of the other, and that's a classic example of the post hoc fallacy.
But if children don't know the difference between right and wrong...
Of course children should be taught about right and wrong.
And a good way to do that is through the...
Well, it's not necessarily the best, as I've been explaining, that one of the most important things to do is to get them to think and question. Of course you should teach them about morality. You can do that within a religious setting, you can do it within a non... But you should be, then we should be doing that.
Mark Mullins.
Yeah, well, we've got to work out what morality, because the morality that is the true morality is a morality that protects someone from sexual exploitation, the Bible teaches sex in marriage between a man and a woman. If our society stuck to that, just think of all the problems we would not have. And the good things we would have. And that is a Christian morality which we're saying we can't even teach in our schools.
Well, let's get a response. Let's get a response from Stephen.
Here's a very good moral rule. The golden rule, do as you would be done by.
Yeah. Okay? Love your neighbour as yourself.
Yes, yeah. Now, who came up with that?
Christ.
No, it's Confucius. Before Jesus.
Love your neighbour as yourself.
Confucius, earlier, a secular society in which the morality was rooted not in Christianity, not even within religion, but it was a rational, secular doctrine. They had the same moral ground for thousands of years, more or less the same levels of morality as the 60 years. It's simply not true.
We have a problem with reducing morality to sexuality. Morality is not about sexuality. Morality is about actually being able to question, what is it to do right? What is it to do right in a certain situation? It is a philosophical morality. And yes, it could have come from Confucius, from Plato, but actually religion has encapsulated it. The different faiths have done so over millennia. So to actually exclude them would exclude a framework that allows a compass, that allows us to start posing these questions.
Sorry, Jonathan.
I'm seeing a good example of this right now, because as we've got the economic recession and social services are being withdrawn, who is coming to pick up the tab? It's a lot of the religious groups who are doing the soup kitchens for the homeless and the fragmented youth. And actually, although I certainly would agree with the humanists that we share, religious and humanists share an awful lot of values, so I don't want to claim exclusivity, but there is one crucial difference. A secularist will say, I think it's a good idea to be good. It's a personal whim. Whereas a religious person will say, thou shalt be good. There's a moral imperative.
It'd be good if it was followed.
That encapsulates how insulting non-religious people often find the way that religious people phrase their views about their morality. I don't think let's be good just because arbitrarily on a whim I've decided it makes me feel good to be good. I feel good. I try to do good because I feel a sense of obligation to my fellow human beings. I feel good-hearted. It's not just because I've arbitrarily decided to do something which, if I had the luxury of a commandment, I'd be able to know.
Andrew, currently, if you look at charity, all the people give a lot of charity, but you have all these big programs making people feel good about themselves because they've done charity.
Telethons and stuff.
But if you actually look at religion, people, you give with your right hand what your left hand doesn't know what you've given. It's a different kind of imperative for morality.
Sorry.
And it's one that is deeper and more rational
I'm sorry,
than
that's
actually
not true. I'm sorry, that's not true.
Andrew
That's
Copson.
not true.
Audience in a minute. Andrew Copson.
That's not true, and it's untrue in two ways.
Well, let Andrew respond.
It's untrue in two ways. Firstly, it's not just about feeling good, as I said. It's about the obligations that we owe to each other. Locating morality within human beings generally doesn't mean that I can arbitrarily, selfishly make up my own values. It means that we earth it in human beings. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that it does. I am saying this is the way I govern my morality and the way that millions of people in this country govern their morality. Not arbitrarily, but according to our obligations to other people. And the second way in which it's untrue is to say somehow, as Jonathan also implied, that religious people do more for charity. We know from numerous studies, like the Citizenship Survey just a few years ago, that the same percentage of people are volunteering and engaging in their community from non-religious backgrounds as from religious backgrounds. So although you may like it to be true that religious people are more serving other people than non-religious people, it's not true, unfortunately.
Jenny.
Secular schools are teaching arbitrariness, arbitrary values. I interviewed young girls for my book on chastity. The first person that I interviewed, it's not funny actually, this is a really serious subject. The first person I interviewed was told, you can have sex when it feels right to do so. So she did. And so her life has been changed from that moment onwards, and she regretted it deeply. This is secular values. They are arbitrary.
But some religious people have sex before they're married, don't they?
And
The whole repressed guilt and repressed sexuality. And
they've got a framework to grow into. But if you're just taught that actually nothing matters, you've got nothing to grow into.
This isn't true.
Yes.
I'd like to say something about this freedom and acceptance. Actually, I'm part of two forums, one on Facebook that is called Pakistani Atheists and Agnostics, and also the Council of Ex-Muslim Britain. If there was such an acceptance of such people, and a lot of them are in fact very concerned about social issues, about political issues, and at the same time they're very aspiring individuals. Quite a lot of them study sciences and mathematics. They're also good people. Why is it that they actually need a different forum to talk about things, and when they can in fact get such acceptance in a more religious sphere?
Actually, they are accepted, and I'm part of a forum for secular democracy. But that science and math you are studying came to us here because of the Muslim scholars over the years who then transmitted the Indian work and before that the Greek work. So religion has given us the human knowledge we have now. So it might be that some people are prejudiced and that it might be some people are negative, but there's actually a few people. People are actually talking to each other and supporting each other. At the end of the day, all religions, all faith, give the individual the right to choose, because otherwise we're not accountable. We believe in heaven.
At their best they do, but you must acknowledge that at their worst they absolutely don't. You must acknowledge that.
There must be actually some
It's
parents.
not a case of there might
How
be.
many parents say to their kids, you have to eat your greens or else? At the end of the day, parents might actually not give kids' choice in some things, but in a pure form, religion wants people to choose, because otherwise, how could you be accountable
But this is
for
not
your
the
actions?
experience that so many people have.
But also,
I'm sorry, but I have in fact met quite a few Muslims who have said very homophobic things, who've said very anti-Semitic things. And if you do talk about, them being ethical or being guided very well, then how do you explain all these failures? Because quite a few people, even I've seen within London, in various cities, who smoke, who've had sex, but they say they don't want to eat pork or some other thing. But how do you explain all this behavior
that's
then?
not morality. Morality is
if you
bigger than
talk
personal
about- if you
behavior in
talk
terms of
about
what you're
good
eating and who you're having sex with.
If you talk-
Morality is bigger. If the question is about society, then we want to look at the frameworks that allow us to engage with big ideas about morality. And these frameworks so far have been religious ones. Secular frameworks, so far we have not had an ideology that allows a secular engagement unless it's philosophy. If we are teaching kids philosophy, then maybe that's the way forward again.
Thank you all very much indeed. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Great contributions. Debates between us for the next week. We're in London. Goodbye from everyone here in Bristol. Thank you for watching.